Let me hit you with a hard truth, gentlemen. If you are over 60 and you can no longer count on waking up with strong morning wood, that is not just aging. It is your body warning you that blood flow is slowing, testosterone is fading, and the spark of vitality that defines you as a man is slipping away. Most men ignore it, but I am here to tell you that losing morning erections is one of the earliest signs of deeper health problems. I am Dr. A, men's health specialist and urologist with over 3 decades of experience helping men rebuild confidence, energy, and intimacy. I have spent my career studying what really works for men in their 60s, 70s, and beyond. Not quick pharmaceutical tricks, but natural lasting solutions that restore both strength and dignity. And here is the surprising part. Most doctors never explain. The return of firm, reliable morning wood does not always come from a pill. In fact, one of the simplest keys is found in a single scoop of natural powder taken at the right time that quietly works while you sleep. Tonight, I am going to reveal the powders that science and tradition both point to remedies that can improve circulation, rebalance hormones, and reawaken the kind of erections that remind you you're still fully alive as a man. Imagine waking not with disappointment, but with confidence pulsing through your body again. Stay with me until the end, because I will not only tell you which powders truly work, but also exactly how to use them before bed, so that when morning comes, you may feel the surge of strength and vitality you thought was gone forever. Before we get started, if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss another men's health tip designed specifically for you. And I'd love to hear from you. If you're ready to bring back stronger mornings, type 1 in the comments. If you feel this content could be improved, type 0 so I know how to make it even more helpful for you. Now that you understand why this nightly ritual matters, let's begin with the first and most important truth. Every man over 60 must know the real meaning of morning wood, because this simple signal holds the secret to your circulation, your hormones, and your overall vitality as a man. 1. The importance of morning wood. The importance of morning wood. When I sit with men in my office, especially those over 60, one of the first questions I often ask is, do you still wake up with morning erections? For many, there's a moment of hesitation, sometimes even embarrassment, before they shake their head. No, and I can tell you that answer matters more than most realize. Morning wood is not simply a reminder of youth or intimacy. It is the body's daily health report. Each morning, without you even asking, your body tells you whether your blood vessels, hormones, and nerves are still working in harmony. It is like the check engine light in your car. If that light goes off every day, you can drive with confidence. But when it stops appearing, when the signal goes silent, it is the body's way of whispering that something underneath is breaking down. I've met men who ignored this signal for years, chalking it up to age, only to later find themselves facing heart issues or dangerously low testosterone. And it makes sense. The arteries that carry blood to the penis are much smaller and more sensitive than the arteries leading to your heart. That means problems often show up in your erections before they ever appear on an EKG. In fact, research has shown that erectile problems can precede heart disease by several years. So, when you stop waking up with morning wood, it isn't just about your sex life, it's about your life. Period. But let me share something personal from years of practice. I've seen men in their late 60s and even 70s walk into my office frustrated, convinced that their vitality is gone forever. They tell me, "Doc, I don't feel like myself anymore. I wake up tired. I don't have that drive." And then after a few months of making the right changes, I watch the light come back into their eyes. They start telling me about mornings where they wake up feeling strong again, sometimes even joking about their wives noticing. That spark is priceless. It restores not only physical function, but also confidence, dignity, and joy. So why is this so important? Because too many men accept decline as destiny. They believe morning wood belongs only to the young. But that is not true. What's fading isn't manhood itself. It's circulation, hormones, and lifestyle factors that can be restored. Think about it. When you were younger, your body effortlessly produced nitric oxide, a natural chemical that told your arteries to open wide and let blood surge through. Testosterone flowed at peak levels, keeping you sharp, energetic, and full of desire. Your nerves responded quickly, sending signals of arousal without delay. That's why morning erections were automatic. They weren't a gift of youth. They were the result of a body working the way it was designed to. Even now in your 60s or 70s, the machinery is still there. The arteries can still open. The hormones can still be restored, and the nerves can still respond. The signal isn't broken. It's only weakened. And the beauty is, with the right approach, you can reignite that signal. It begins with understanding. That morning wood is more than a curiosity or a memory. It is a marker of health. Each time you wake up firm, it's proof that your body is alive, responsive, and ready. Each time it's missing, it's a chance to listen and respond before deeper problems take root. I've often said to my patients, do not judge yourself for losing morning erections, but also do not ignore it. Think of it as a friend tapping you on the shoulder, reminding you to take action. Because restoring that signal isn't just about intimacy, it's about reclaiming the foundation of your health and vitality as a man. And here's where things get interesting. If you understand the importance of that signal, the next question becomes, how can you strengthen it? Again, that's where timing, nutrition, and one simple nightly ritual come into play. Because what you give your body before bed could be the very thing that decides how you wake up in the morning. Let's talk about why the hours before sleep hold the secret to bringing back the firmness and confidence you thought was gone. Why use powder? Before bed too, why use powder before bed? Over the years, I've noticed something fascinating in the lives of my patients. Men come to me asking how to feel younger, how to restore their energy, and of course how to wake up with that powerful signal of morning wood again. And often they're looking for complicated solutions, new medications, expensive treatments, or even surgical procedures. But when I sit them down and explain that sometimes the answer lies in what you do right before you go to sleep, I can see the surprise in their eyes. They never imagined that the simple act of taking the right nutrients before bed could transform the way they wake up in the morning. Here's why this matters. Your body isn't idle while you sleep. In fact, it's during the night that the deepest repair and rebuilding take place. Testosterone production peaks in the early hours of sleep. Blood vessels regenerate and restore their elasticity. Nerves that have been strained by stress throughout the day finally get the chance to calm and recover. Sleep is not just rest, it's your body's workshop where everything is repaired and fine-tuned for the next day. And if you provide the right fuel before stepping into that workshop, the results can be remarkable. I remember one of my patients, a man in his late 60s, who told me he hadn't had consistent morning erections in years. He was skeptical when I suggested a nightly ritual with specific natural powders, but he agreed to try. Within weeks, his mornings changed. He described it to me like this: "Doc, it's as if my body remembered something it had forgotten. I wake up feeling alive again." That's the power of timing. It's not always about how much you take, but when you give it to your body. Powders are especially effective because they are concentrated and easy to absorb. Unlike heavy meals that sit in your stomach and weigh you down, powders dissolve quickly, delivering nutrients directly where they're needed. Mixed into warm water or milk, they create a calming ritual that signals to your body it's time to relax, restore, and rebuild. Think of it as preparing the soil before planting. If you nourish your body just before the repair cycle begins, the results blossom while you sleep. This is why men who develop the habit of taking these powders before bed often notice a difference not only in their erections, but in their energy, mood, and overall vitality. It becomes more than a supplement. It becomes a nightly act of self-care. And for many men over 60, that ritual is a turning point. It's the moment they take control of their health again, one glass at a time. Of course, it's not just about drinking something warm before bed. It's about what's inside the cup, the powders. I'm going to share with you are not random remedies pulled from thin air. They are backed by centuries of tradition and confirmed by modern science. Each one works in its own unique way. Some open your arteries. Some calm your stress. Some reignite desire. And others fight the hidden inflammation that silently robs men of their strength. So when you think about why to use powder before bed, remember this. You're not just having a drink. You're setting the stage for your body's most important work to take place. You're giving yourself the raw materials to restore testosterone, repair blood vessels, and reawaken the man inside you. And this brings us to the first and perhaps most powerful powder of them all. A bright red root that athletes have used for endurance and strength, and that men over 60 can use to restore blood flow and firmness where it matters most. Let's talk about beetroot powder. 3. Beetroot powder. Beetroot powder. When men come to see me and confess that their mornings feel empty, that they no longer wake with the strength and firmness they once took for granted, I often tell them a secret that sounds almost too simple. It begins with a humble vegetable that many of us overlooked on the dinner table, a root with a deep red color and a power hidden beneath the soil. I am talking about beets, and more specifically, beetroot powder. Over the years, I have witnessed how this single powder can make a profound difference in a man's life, especially after 60 when circulation begins to slow and energy starts to fade. Here's why beetroot powder is such a powerful ally. Beets are loaded with nitrates, and when you consume them, your body converts those nitrates into nitric oxide. Now, nitric oxide may not sound exciting, but it is the very signal that tells your arteries to relax and open wide. Without it, the pathways remain tight and narrow, and blood struggles to reach where it needs to go. With it, blood surges freely, filling your tissues with life and energy. And in the case of erections, that means blood flowing directly into the sponge-like chambers of the penis, expanding them fully and firmly. This is not theory, it is physiology at its purest. I've seen this play out countless times. A man in his 70s once told me he thought his days of waking up hard were over. He felt embarrassed, even ashamed, as though he had lost a piece of his identity. When I recommended beetroot powder as part of his nightly ritual, he laughed. "Doc, you think a beet is going to fix this?" he asked, but he trusted me enough to try. A month later, he walked into my office with a smile that I will never forget. He said, "It feels like my body finally remembered what it's supposed to do." That is the gift of nitric oxide. It awakens what age Tiesto put to sleep. And beetroot powder doesn't just work below the belt. The same nitric oxide that fuels erections also strengthens the heart. It lowers blood pressure, improves stamina, and keeps arteries supple. This is critical because the very first sign of cardiovascular decline often shows up in the bedroom. When erections weaken, it can mean that the arteries in your heart are struggling too. By nourishing your body with beetroot, you're not just reclaiming your mornings, you're protecting your life. The way to use beetroot powder is simple but powerful. 1 teaspoon stirred into a glass of warm water about half an hour before bed is enough. The warmth relaxes you, and the powder begins its quiet work. As you sleep, nitric oxide signals your arteries to open, circulation improves, and your body prepares for the firmness of the morning. Many men notice changes within weeks. Stronger morning wood, improved energy throughout the day, and even sharper focus. The beauty of beetroot powder lies not only in its effectiveness, but in how natural and gentle it feels. There are no side effects, no artificial chemicals, just the body returning to the balance it once knew. And when you make this a ritual, something shifts inside you. It's no longer about taking a supplement. It's about reclaiming a piece of yourself every night before bed. Each glass of beetroot water becomes a quiet promise to your body that you are not giving up, that you still expect it to respond, and that you still believe in your own strength. Now, as powerful as beetroot powder is for circulation and performance, it is only one piece of the puzzle, because even with perfect blood flow, if stress hormones are running high and testosterone is being blocked, your results will never reach their full potential. That's why the next powder I want to share with you is so important. It calms the stress that strangles desire and restores the hormonal balance your body desperately needs. Let's talk about ashwagandha powder. Ashwagandha powder 4. Ashwagandha powder. When men reach their 60s, one of the hidden enemies that quietly chips away at their strength is stress. I've seen it countless times in my practice. Men who once carried themselves with confidence now weighed down by sleepless nights, nagging worries, and a constant tension that never seems to let go. They often come to me saying their desire is gone, their energy is fading, and their erections are inconsistent. And while they think the problem is only physical, what's really happening is that stress is stealing their manhood from the inside out. This is where ashwagandha, a humble but powerful root, often called Indian ginseng, becomes one of the most valuable allies a man can have. Ashwagandha is known as an adaptogen, which means it helps your body adapt to stress and restore balance wherever it is most needed. Modern science has confirmed what traditional healers in India knew for centuries. This herb lowers cortisol, the stress hormone that when elevated sabotages nearly every function of male vitality. High cortisol tightens your blood vessels, keeping them from opening wide. It keeps your nervous system locked in fight or flight mode, making it impossible to truly relax. And perhaps most damaging, it directly blocks testosterone production. When testosterone falls, desire fades, erections weaken, and the zest for life begins to dim. I recall a patient of mine who had spent his career in a high-pressure job. Even in retirement, his mind never slowed down. He told me he would lie awake at night replaying the stresses of the day, unable to sleep deeply. And over time, he noticed his mornings were lifeless. No energy, no firmness, no spark. I suggested ashwagandha, not as a quick cure, but as a gentle, nightly ritual. A month later, he returned and said something that struck me deeply. "Doc, I finally feel calm enough to rest, and in the mornings, I feel like a man again." That is the beauty of ashwagandha. It quiets the noise inside so your body can rebuild what matters most. When cortisol drops, testosterone rises naturally. Your body finds its balance again. Desire returns, energy steadies, and morning wood begins to reappear with a strength you thought was gone. And let's not forget the role of sleep. Most testosterone is produced during the deepest stages of sleep, yet stress robs men of that restorative cycle. Ashwagandha gently soothes the nervous system, helping you drift into real rest. In that rest, your hormones are renewed, your tissues repair, and your vitality is restored. The way to use ashwagandha powder is simple. Mix half a teaspoon into warm milk or water before bed. Its taste is earthy, even a little bitter, but many men add honey or cinnamon to soften the flavor. What matters is not the taste, but the transformation that follows. Within weeks, men often notice less anxiety, a steadier mood, stronger erections in the morning, and a renewed sense of desire. It does not push or force your body. It gently guides it back to balance, letting your manhood feel natural again. Ashwagandha is not about masking symptoms. It works at the root, calming stress and freeing testosterone so your body can perform the way it was designed to. For men over 60, that balance can mean the difference between restless nights and powerful mornings, between a life of decline and a life of strength. And while ashwagandha helps restore the calm and balance your body needs, there is another root grown high in the Andes that works on a different level entirely. This one doesn't just balance hormones, it awakens desire itself, maca root powder fuels stamina and brings back the intensity of pleasure many men thought they had lost forever. Let's explore maca root powder. 5. Maca root powder. There is a place high in the Peruvian Andes where men have relied on a simple root for centuries to keep their strength, stamina, and virility alive well into old age. That root is maca, often called Peruvian ginseng, and when ground into a fine powder, it becomes one of the most remarkable natural allies for men over 60. What makes maca unique is that it does not directly raise testosterone the way some herbs do. Instead, it works in harmony with your body, nourishing the entire system of energy, circulation, and endurance. For men who feel that their spark has dimmed, MKA has a way of gently fanning the flame back to life. I remember speaking with a man in his late 60s who came to me saying that while he could still perform, something deeper was missing. His desire had weakened and intimacy felt more like a duty than a joy. He told me, "Doc, I want to want again." That statement struck me because so many men over 60 feel the same way, but rarely speak it aloud. When I introduced him to maca powder, I explained that it often acts on the brain's arousal centers, waking up signals of interest and excitement that have grown quiet with age. A few weeks later, he called me with a chuckle in his voice and said, "It feels like my body remembered how to be excited again. That is the gift of macaca. It stirs the mind as much as the body. But macaca does more than awaken desire. It also fuels stamina and endurance. Men who use it consistently often notice they can stay firm longer, that they don't tire as quickly, and that they have the energy to enjoy intimacy without feeling drained afterward. Some even describe it as a return to the vitality of their 40s, where strength and recovery were natural, not forced. And then there is another benefit that many men do not expect. Macaca can restore the intensity of climax. Patients have told me that orgasms feel sharper, stronger, more like what they experienced in their 20s. That level of satisfaction is not just physical, it restores confidence and joy, reminding you that passion does not have an expiration date. Macaca also carries another quiet but important advantage for men over 60. It supports prostate health. As men age, the prostate often enlarges, pressing on the bladder and urethra. And this not only affects urination, but also interferes with erections. By nourishing pelvic tissues and improving circulation, MKA helps counteract these changes, keeping the entire system stronger and more responsive. It's not just about performance, it's about protecting the foundation of male health. The way to use maca root powder is simple and pleasant. Its flavor is slightly sweet and nutty, far from medicinal, which makes it easy to incorporate into your nightly routine. Stir 1 teaspoon into a smoothie, blend it with almond milk or cocoa for a rich evening drink, or even sprinkle it over yogurt. Taken before bed, maca works quietly through the night, fueling your body with nutrients and supporting blood flow. The effects build over time, growing stronger with consistency. When I see the look in a man's eyes after he's rediscovered his desire, when he tells me his mornings are stronger and his nights are more fulfilling, I'm reminded why I recommend macaca so often. It is not a quick fix. It's a bridge back to the natural rhythm of vitality. It doesn't force the body. It guides it back toward balance and strength step by step. For men who have forgotten what it feels like to wake with excitement and energy, macaca is our reminder that those days are not behind them. They can return with patience and consistency. And while macaca reignites desire and stamina, there is still another silent enemy we must confront: inflammation. It creeps into the arteries, stiffens the vessels, irritates the prostate, and drains energy from the body. To fight that enemy, we turn to a golden spice paired with a simple companion, a combination that has been celebrated for centuries for its healing power. Let's talk about turmeric and black pepper. Turmeric plus black pepper 6. Turmeric plus black pepper. There is another challenge many men over 60 face, and it often goes unnoticed because it doesn't always shout loudly the way heart problems or low testosterone do. This hidden challenge is inflammation. I've seen men come to with stiffness in their joints, fatigue they can't explain, and erections that simply don't respond the way they used to. On the surface, it seems unrelated, but underneath, chronic inflammation is quietly interfering with circulation, irritating the prostate, and draining the body of the energy that fuels manhood. It is like a slow fire burning in the background. And unless you put that fire out, no amount of blood flow or hormones will be enough. That's where turmeric, the golden spice, steps in. And when combined with black pepper, its power becomes extraordinary. Turmeric has been used for centuries in traditional medicine, not just for flavor, but for healing. Its active compound, curcumin, is one of the most potent natural anti-inflammatory agents we know of. But here's the problem. On its own, curcumin is poorly absorbed by the body. You could take spoonfuls of turmeric and still only get a fraction of its benefits. The key is black pepper. Inside black pepper is a compound called piperine, which increases the absorption of curcumin by up to 2,000%. Without pepper, turmeric is like a treasure chest locked tight. With pepper, the chest opens wide and your body can access everything inside. I remember a patient of mine, a retired firefighter, who told me he felt like his body was slowing down. In every way, his knees ached, his energy was flat, and his mornings were lifeless. He thought this was just aging. But after he suggested a nightly golden drink made with turmeric and a pinch of black pepper stirred into warm milk, things began to change. Weeks later, he came back and said, "Doc, I feel lighter. My body doesn't fight me anymore, and in the mornings, I feel that spark again." His story is one of many. When inflammation is calmed, the body can finally do what it was designed to do: circulate blood freely, respond with energy, and restore sexual health. Think about it this way. Erections depend on soft, flexible arteries that can expand and fill quickly with blood. But inflammation stiffens those arteries, making them resistant and unresponsive. It also irritates the prostate, creating pressure and interference in the pelvic region. Over time, this leads to weaker erections, more urinary problems, and less vitality overall. By adding turmeric with black pepper to your nightly routine, you're not just soothing your joints, you're clearing the pathways for blood to flow and protecting the very foundation of your manhood. The ritual itself can be incredibly soothing. Imagine stirring half a teaspoon of turmeric with a small pinch of black pepper into warm milk or even warm water, then sipping it slowly before bed. The warmth calms your body. The golden color feels almost sacred, and the compounds inside begin working as you drift into sleep. While you rest, inflammation is reduced. Irritation in the prostate quiets down, and blood vessels stay more open and flexible. By morning, many men notice they feel less stiff, more energized, and yes, firmer. What I love most about this ritual is not just the science, but the symbolism. Each night as you drink it, you're telling your body, "I am choosing healing. I am choosing renewal. I am choosing to fight back against decline." It's a simple act with powerful meaning. And it reminds you that age may bring challenges, but it does not have to steal your strength. Now, with circulation restored, stress balanced, desire awakened, and inflammation calmed, you may wonder how to put it all together. Do you take all of these powders at once? Do you rotate them? The truth is, there are guiding principles that make this journey simple and sustainable. And once you understand them, you'll know exactly how to use these tools for lasting results. Let's talk about the principles of use. 7. The principles of use.
The principles of use. By now you've seen how each of these powders, beetroot, ashwagandha, maca, and turmeric with black pepper, offers its own unique path back to strength, energy, and confidence. But one of the most common questions I hear from men is, "Doc, how do I actually use them? Do I need to take them all at once? Do I rotate them? How long until I see results?" These are important questions based. The truth is, the way you use these powders matters almost as much as the powders themselves. The first principle is simplicity. You don't need to overwhelm your body or your routine by taking everything at once. In fact, I encourage my patients to start with just one powder. Choose one that speaks most to your needs. If circulation is your main concern, begin with beetroot. If stress and sleep are robbing your nights, start with ashwagandha. If desire and stamina feel absent, try macaca. And if inflammation is weighing you down, turmeric with black pepper may be your best ally. Give your body a chance to respond to one edge before adding more. Too many men make the mistake of expecting instant results, but this is not about forcing an effect, it's about building a foundation. The second principle is patience. I've seen men give up too soon, disappointed when they don't feel a miracle overnight, but your body didn't lose its vitality in a single day, and it won't rebuild it in one either. These powders are gentle, natural, and designed to work with your body's rhythms. Give them at least a few weeks of consistent use before judging their impact. Many of my patients are surprised when after 2 or 3 weeks, they notice subtle changes. More energy in the morning, less stiffness in their body, or the welcome return of morning wood. Those early signals are our body telling you it's responding. The third principle is consistency. Think of this as brushing your teeth. You don't brush once and expect your smile to last forever. You do it every day because small daily actions create lasting health. It's the same here. Make our powder drink part of your nightly ritual. Skip the late night alcohol. Avoid heavy snacks that weigh you down, and instead prepare a simple glass of warm water or milk with your chosen powder. Over time, this becomes more than a habit. It becomes a statement that you are investing in your future every single night. And finally, the fourth principle is listening to your body. As weeks pass, notice how you feel. Do you wake with more energy? Are your erections firmer and more reliable? Do you feel calmer, more focused, or more alive? Your body is always speaking to you. If one powder seems to make the biggest difference, stay with it. If you feel ready, rotate or combine them. There's no rigid rule book. This is about finding what works best for you and honoring that. I often tell my patients that these powders are not quick fixes. They are allies. They walk beside you, quietly strengthening your body night after night, building you back up from the inside. The reward is not just in stronger mornings, but in the return of dignity, confidence, and vitality. It's about looking in the mirror and recognizing the man staring back at you. The man who has not given up, the man who is still capable of strength, passion, and pride. And now that you understand not only what these powders can do, but also how to use them wisely, the final step is to bring all of this together into a clear message. One that ties your mornings, your health, and your manhood into a single truth. Because what I want to leave you with is more than just instructions. It's a vision of what your life can look like when you choose to act. So let's move into the conclusion, where I'll show you these nightly choices may be the turning point you've been waiting for. Conclusion, gentlemen, morning wood is more than a sign of intimacy. It is proof of life, health, and vitality. We've talked about it matters, why timing before bed is critical, and how beetroot, ashwagandha, maca, and turmeric with black pepper can each play a role in restoring what age has taken. I've seen men in their 60s and 70s South reclaim strength, confidence, and joy simply by honoring this nightly ritual. Do not accept decline as inevitable. With patience, consistency, and belief, you can wake each morning with the firmness of youth and the pride of knowing you are still fully alive.